My name is Sarah Zagorski, and I'm the Communications Director for Louisiana Right to Life. Thank you so much to our pro-life partners and friends that came on such short notice, within hours, to join us on this historic day of monumental importance. Out of known safety concerns, we have decided not to hold this press conference at our New Orleans headquarters, but we encourage peace in this moment for those in our movement and for those who have differing opinions on the issue of abortion. Right now, our Louisiana Right to Life team is across the country, separated with our Executive Director, Benjamin Clapper, and Black Advocates for Life Director, Tara Wicker, in Atlanta, Georgia, and our Associate Director, Angie Thomas, in Indianapolis, Indiana, at the Pro-Life Women's Conference. But they will be speaking with us near the end of this press conference via Zoom. We could not have anticipated the court releasing this decision today. On behalf of Louisiana Right to Life, our board of directors, and after nearly 50 years of Roe, we are thrilled that the Supreme Court has struck down Roe versus Wade and its subsequent 1992 decision, Planned Parenthood versus Casey. Under Roe and Casey, millions of women have undergone so-called safe and legal abortions under the guise of choice. But instead of providing the freedom it promised, Roe brought us all more oppression, as Justice Samuel Alito references in his breathtaking opinion. Speaking for the majority, he says, abortion was egregiously wrong from the start and on a collision course with the Constitution from the day it was decided. He added that it was demeaning to the medical community, damaging for the maternal patient, and barbaric for the unborn child. Roe supposedly guaranteed reproductive freedom, control over one's own life, and the path to women's liberation. Yet hundreds of thousands of women speak of abortion regret, psychological scars, and physical ramifications the court simply didn't foresee in 1973. We also didn't know what we do today about the unborn person. In 1973, we simply didn't know that at 15 weeks gestation, the unborn child in utero has a nervous system mature enough to feel pain, which is why during prenatal surgery, physicians administer anesthesia to the fetus. Importantly, too, we couldn't see the baby as we do today. Women can now see unborn life in 2D, 3D, and 4D ultrasound. Ultrasound technology is so compelling that the majority of women who see their unborn child in the womb do not have an abortion. We didn't know either that the unborn person has a heartbeat detectable at 8 weeks and a heart that beats 54 million times before he or she is even born. This child is worthy of our protection, and we are incredibly grateful and thankful that the court affirmed that today. Importantly, too, we know our work is not done, and we must unite together to help moms and babies before and after birth. Louisiana Right to Life is confident that Louisiana law is ready to provide legal protection for unborn babies. Our 2006 and recently passed and signed 2022 Human Life Protection Act safeguards the rights of unborn babies when Roe is overturned. And since Roe has been overturned, those laws can now go into effect to protect every life. We call on Governor Edwards and the Department of Health to enforce our law and shutter the 3 abortion facilities in the state of Louisiana. In closing, and before I introduce a few more speakers, I want to share why I've been in this work since 2001 when I was 11 years old. In January of 1990, my birth mother, a Hispanic immigrant from Honduras, consulted with a New Orleans abortionist after being referred to him by a friend. This physician was known for helping poor minority women of color facing obstacles. That day in January, he delivered me at 26 weeks and advised my vulnerable mother to leave me to die on the table. Thankfully, she resisted his coercive tactics, and I lived. Following my traumatic delivery, I went on to spend nearly 8 years in Louisiana's foster care system prior to my adoption at age 9. I saw up very close the social dilemmas women and their children face when dealing with unplanned or crisis pregnancies. However, I also learned the scope and comprehensive nature of the pro-life movement through the loving support of my foster care and adoptive family. Most of all, I learned that ending a human life in abortion is never the solution for a woman in crisis. My birth mother, like many women in our state and our country, encountered nearly every obstacle a woman could face. She faced domestic violence, was a victim of sexual assault, a minority woman, and she lived far below the poverty level. Yet abortion couldn't fix those problems because shattering the bodies of her babies can never heal a shattered heart. Sharon Rohde, to my left on our board of directors, an instrumental heroine for pro-life women in the movement since 1973, will now address the work of Louisiana Right to Life. And Alex Sagers, our Director of Education, will highlight the many resources women like my birth mother have today.
As Sarah mentioned, I've been involved in this movement since 1973, when as a young mother with 2 young babies, the Roe v. Wade decision was handed down by the United States Supreme Court. I didn't know what it meant to have an abortion, but I thought of the women who were faced with that decision and faced with unplanned pregnancy and the feeling that they needed to take the life of their child in order to survive themselves. I then responded to a call from Archbishop Hannon, who invited women to attend a meeting that he held at St. Anthony Church, inviting them to take part and help in a pregnancy center that he was starting, I had already started, to help women facing unplanned pregnancies. I went to that meeting, and that changed the course of my life. For the next 50 years, almost 50 years, I have been working in the pro-life movement, working with pregnancy counseling programs and also with Right to Life, helping pregnant women who are faced with unplanned pregnancies choose life rather than abortion, because abortion doesn't provide what they're looking for. It only takes the life of their child. It provides 2 victims, not just one. Also, in working with pregnant women, I realized that only through changing the laws in this country were we really going to change what the system was. And that is why I got involved with Right to Life, to try to change the laws that were allowing women to have abortion. And that then became my dual focus for the next almost 50 years. Today is the culmination of the work of many, many people. Many people have been out there working, trying to help women. We have almost 40 pregnancy counseling programs in the state of Louisiana. We working with pregnancy counseling programs are there to help women. We are not there to harm women. We're there to offer them solutions to their unplanned pregnancies. They need help. They don't need to have their babies torn from their bodies. And that's what the real solution is. And now that we have Roe v. Wade reversed, this does not mean that the fight is over. What this means is that the decision goes back to every state in the union. Louisiana has chosen to have a trigger law so that there will be no abortions in Louisiana now. It is one of 13 states in the United States that now does not allow for abortion. But there are other states that do. But the fight to end abortion in our country does not end with laws. The fight ends with changing hearts and minds. People need to realize that these are living human beings, and we are taking lives. We are taking children's lives. And as Sarah explained, we know so much more now than we knew 49 years ago when Roe v. Wade was decided. These are living human beings. They're nothing other than that. And when we destroy life, we are showing a total disrespect for life. And if we think we have violence in our communities today, look to what the source of that violence is. If we don't respect the life of the defenseless unborn, how do we expect to respect the life of others who are born? So my plea is for everyone to realize that we are all in this together. We are there to help pregnant women in whatever way we can. They need our help before when they're pregnant. They need our help as they raise their children. They need to be responsible parents. We need to help families. And that's the call for pro-life people in general and for everyone in general to work together and to stop the violence that begins with violence in the womb and carries on to violence that perpetuates in our communities. So this is a wonderful day for those of us who have worked so long to end Roe v. Wade. And we don't intend to stop now. We intend to continue to put our efforts forth so that women and children and families will get the help that they need. Thank you.
My name is Alex Sagers. I'm the Director of Education for Louisiana Right to Life. I'm a pro-life feminist who is incredibly overjoyed at today's decision and incredibly honored to follow in the footsteps of activists like Sharon. I stand on the shoulders of giants in our movement. Thank you so much, Sharon. But not everyone is rejoicing today like us. The night of the leak, fundraising efforts on the pro-abortion side, the leak of the opinion draft, skyrocketed here in Louisiana, and probably as we speak, protests are breaking out across the country. People are screaming and spray painting things like "bans off my body." But a friend of mine often says that women's liberation cannot be bought by the blood of our children. Women have been told that abortion is an empowering choice, but that was a lie. Women have been hurt. For over 50 years, the abortion industry has been taking advantage of women's bodies for profit while lying to them about pregnancy and pouring millions of dollars into campaigns that abortion is a right and that it is apparently safe health care. But we know that over 60% of women have been coerced into abortions by threatening abusers, by parents who want to have nothing to do with their child, partners who want to have nothing to do with that woman's child, by lack of family support, and certainly within human trafficking, especially here in Louisiana. But we know Louisiana stories, like Cindy, who was left to bleed on the grass outside of an abortion facility in Louisiana, like Natalie, who spiraled into drugs and alcohol after her abortion trauma, and like the woman recently in Baton Rouge, who had to get a full hysterectomy because of her botched abortion at the hands of that physician. But abortion clinics here in Louisiana have fought every bit of regulations to protect safety standards. What about those women's bodies? So while abortion physicians had been brutally tearing apart our unborn children and causing dangerous physical and psychological consequences to women, we have all been here. We have been here supporting and loving and educating women to ensure that Louisiana women know what abortion really is and know that they do not need it. In fact, this legislative session, we secured an additional $2 million for resources that are alternatives to abortion. This, along with the current funding of $1.26 million for alternatives to abortion and the Choose Life license plate funding, will help pregnancy centers and adoptions agencies around the state to increase their efforts to help women. Now that we are looking at not a future but a present reality of being abortion-free, dear pro-lifers, as a feminist, I call upon Louisianians to step up and to answer the call to bolster holistic help to women and rally in their time, in their talent, in their treasure in support of our incredible pregnancy centers, adoption agencies, and abundance of private and social services. Please visit adifficultchoice.com to find your local centers and get to know them. Know your nearby services and what you can do and what you can say in order to support that friend or family member that comes to you saying, "I'm pregnant and I don't know what to do." Commit to reality where a woman doesn't feel she has to kill one child in order to be able to feed another. Commit to reality where a woman doesn't feel she needs to kill her children in order to continue her education or career. Commit to reality where killing a child literally isn't even an option. And the only option when a girl here in Louisiana gets pregnant is to love her, is to support her, to connect her to what she needs, to counsel her through her personal pregnancy decisions, and be her village for the rest of her life, as so many people here and my family have been for me in my 2 pregnancies. This is what it means to be pro-life. This is actually what it means to be feminist. This is advancing women's progress, and this is what all of the wonderful women speaking after me have lived and breathed in either their own stories or their tireless work for women in unexpected pregnancies. And we're going to hear next from Kim Schultz, who is one of those women.
Good afternoon. And so I'm reading a little bit, so stay focused. So my name is Kim Schultz, and I was once given the choice to have an abortion at the age of 15 when I was placed with an unplanned pregnancy. I went to an abortion clinic in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and was processed through the ultrasounds and blood work necessary to have the procedure itself. But when I left that day, I made an appointment to return because at the time there was a law that required you to wait 72 hours before you could come back and have the procedure. I ultimately found support and a way to choose life for my baby, even though my life was in pieces. It was such a painful time in my life. How in the world was I going to have this baby? It all seemed impossible. I understand the pain involved with an unplanned pregnancy. I ultimately chose to place my baby boy up for open adoption at birth. It is the single most impactful and fulfilling choice I have made in my life. But please hear my heart. The reality was that it was also the hardest decision I've ever made. I'm here to speak to any woman facing unplanned pregnancy. And while I am celebrating for all the innocent lives that are going to be saved with this overturn of Roe versus Wade, I also feel this heavy somberness for women that believe that they have lost their right to choose, for women that believe the lie that they can have an abortion and that their life can just go back to the way that it was. And I can unequivocally witness that that's not true. I have witnessed by my volunteer work with post-abortion women, the pain, torment, and lifelong regret that these women live with after aborting their babies. I want you to know that choosing life is never a choice that you would regret. The joy that comes from the pain of unplanned pregnancy is something that you could never imagine. And yes, even when you choose to place your baby up for adoption. My birth son is actually here today and can attest to his gratefulness to be given the gift of life. To be my birth son and to also be the son to an amazing, loving couple that couldn't wait to scoop him up and love him. There are so many couples that are willing and eager to love you and your precious baby. We still have a choice, ladies. A choice without regret. A choice that is met with new life and joy, even in the midst of crisis. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon. My name is Ashley Gilliam, and I'm the Youth Programs Director for Louisiana Right to Life for the Southeast region. A lot of times when I go speak to student groups, they ask me how I got involved in pro-life activism. When I moved to Louisiana for college to go to Tulane University, I considered myself pro-life, but I didn't really know what that meant. But having been on Tulane's campus and seen the women who had faced unplanned pregnancies, seen the hopelessness in their eyes, that is what compelled me to join pro-life activism and to be in the pro-life movement. Along with facing the issues that women are facing, or seeing the issues that women are facing, I started studying cell and molecular biology. And I got to learn about the precious life that is forming every day across the country in women's wombs. And so through the combination of those things, that is how I entered into pro-life activism. And in having experienced speaking with high school students, middle school students, and college students over the past 5 years, I've seen how intelligent and strong and amazing they are. I've seen how when they're educated on fetal development, they can see the life inside the womb. I've seen how when they're exposed to the brutality of the abortion procedures, they can see that truth. Unfortunately, though, not all of our students have been exposed to those truths. And the culture of abortion is still very, very strong in Louisiana today. As seen with last year, there being over 7,400 abortions in Louisiana. So I ask you, parents, students, grandparents, friends of students anywhere, to please, please stand up and help spread that education to your students. We deserve to know the truth. We deserve to understand that there are resources available in Louisiana. We deserve to know that people are there to love us and support us when we end up in difficult situations. And as women, specifically myself, as a biracial 22-year-old woman, I deserve to know that I am better than abortion, and I deserve better than abortion. Thank you.
At this time,
Okay.
I believe Benjamin.
Can you hear me, Sarah?
Yes. Welcome, Benjamin.
All right. Very good. Well, thank you very much for everybody. As Sarah mentioned earlier, we are in Atlanta at the National Right to Life Convention. Never thought that the Supreme Court decision would come down on a Friday, but you can't control what the Supreme Court does. So we're all spread around the country, but thanks to the awesome team there with Sarah and Alex and Sharon and everybody who's there. What amazing stories that you share with us. And my name is Ben Clapper, Executive Director of Louisiana Right to Life. Our organization has been working for over 50 years to protect life and support moms. And today is a huge day, a celebration where we can now in Louisiana protect the rights of unborn children. We can protect their lives under law and work to protect, support, and care for mothers and children, both before birth and after birth. We've been doing that as a pro-life movement for over 50 years, and we're going to always continue to do that, making sure that we can build a Louisiana not only that's abortion-free, but that's pro-mother and pro-baby. Not only did Alex mention all the funding the state's providing, Louisiana also, and through Medicaid, allows Medicaid funding to support children and mothers up to 12 months postpartum in the past couple of legislative sessions. That's been done. So there's great things in Louisiana. There's a lot more to be done to support moms and children. We look forward to our law being enforced in Louisiana, and we look forward to all states in our nation working together to protect human life, to protect these precious unborn babies that need the same chance at life that all of us receive. Thank you very much. Next speaking is our State Director for Louisiana Black Advocates for Life, Tara Wicker.
Thanks, Ben. Hello, everyone. Wow, what a day. 50 years. Only the hand of God could have orchestrated this. And it's been mentioned, we're all across the country today. And I think that's representative of the fact that our work is still not done. There's still work in many communities that still require our attention and our guidance and our support to women and young women that are facing an unplanned pregnancy. We look at the statistics, and I heard Ashley mention about truth. And one of my favorite verses of scriptures is that you should know the truth and the truth shall set you free. One of the reasons why I'm so passionate and active and involved in this is because going throughout the community and learning about the statistics, especially as it relates to the amount of abortions in the African-American communities, many individuals don't realize that African-Americans lead the nation in abortion rates. But however, when you look across at events and marches and protests, there's a very limited amount of African Americans there that are participating. And what we've learned is that the message is not being given. It's not out there. The African American communities in large amount are not having the conversations about the truth. I'm standing here today and I'm holding this rose. And as Ben was talking, I was just thinking about the rose, and I thought about myself as a 16-year-old. And one of the reasons why I'm so involved in this is because I remember being driven up onto the parking lot of an abortion clinic and not having anyone there with a sign or a voice or anyone to say, hey, you're about to make the worst decision of your life. And I look at this rose and I look at the fact that it's so fragile and it's so delicate and it's so beautiful and it's so vulnerable. And for me, this rose represents the only image that I may have of my aborted baby when I was 16 years old. Because the image that was embedded in my mind is literally seeing my baby in a clear plastic container. And the only words that I had to say was, Mommy is sorry. So my passion and my drive for being involved and getting the message out so that no other young woman, no other 16-year-old has to be faced with the understanding or the thought that she's alone in this. We want to make sure we're overwhelmingly excited, obviously, about the decision that the Supreme Court has made. And now our job is to make sure that women all across this country know that you're not alone, that you're not in isolation. And as I felt on that day, felt like I didn't have any other options. And so it's our role and our job to make sure that message goes out loud and clear, that you're not alone, that you do have options, you do have choices, you do have a family, a community, a village that is here ready to support, love you, and provide all the resources that you have. So I'm the proud mother now of 6 children, and I have the faces of all of my babies to remind me that this work is not over. We have a lot of work to be done. And I want to thank Louisiana Right to Life for just allowing me the opportunity, me and my family and those in our community, to be involved actively and to have a platform to stand on to make sure that individuals know and understand the truth of the violent impact of abortion to the woman, and not only to the woman, but also to the African American community holistically. God bless you and thank you.
And now we're going to have Angie Thomas, who is at the Pro-Life Women's Conference in Indianapolis, our Associate Director, speak.
Hello, everyone. It was a little too loud downstairs with all of the very excited pro-life women in this country. And I just want to point out that this afternoon you have heard from real women, real voices in Louisiana. You just heard from a woman who, said she unfortunately did choose abortion. You heard from a woman who chose adoption. You heard from a survivor of abortion. We are the voices of this movement in Louisiana, and we are here to tell you that we are so happy that our state finally has the opportunity to go beyond abortion, to make that a thing of the past, and to look forward to providing real solutions for women. For too long in this country, America has told women, oh, the solution to your problem is abortion. And we here in Louisiana, we get to do better than that. We get to provide all of these resources that Alex so eloquently spoke about, and that we want you to go look at on those websites and encourage others in your community to go look at those resources. And remember that our message to the women of Louisiana is that we are here with you and we want to walk through this with you. I just want to speak a few words on the profound nature of this case. I had the pleasure of reading almost every word in this case this afternoon, and it just it's so amazing that our court has finally recognized the importance of a state's interest in life. The court says, is abortion included in the 14th Amendment liberty interest? No. The court asks, is the abortion rooted in the history and tradition of this country? The court says no. Is it a broader right? Is abortion found in a broader right from other case precedents? No. What does Justice Alito say? He says abortion, what sharply distinguishes abortion from rights recognized in other cases, is that abortion destroys what Roe called potential life and what this Mississippi law and our Louisiana law calls an unborn human being. He goes on to say, it's time to heed the Constitution and return the issue of abortion to the people's elected representatives. We are so thankful for this day in history where we as a state get to protect our unborn children and help moms. Thank you for all that all of you have done in this movement.
And I'm just literally running in for my daughter's dance recital. So mom life. To talk about how adoption's affected my life, it's kind of unique because I'm not adopted, and nor have I ever chosen adoption for a baby. In fact, I've never been pregnant. But adoption has deeply, deeply, deeply affected my life nonetheless. So I'm just gonna read you a list here of names of real people who in my life would not exist had it not been for 5 specific women choosing adoption. Sue, Chris, Corey, Paul, Greg, Tommy, Jill, Aiden, Cecilia, Sky, Evan Grace, Maggie, Molly, Lewis, Sam, and Leo and Saley. Sue is my mom. She was adopted at age 1, and she grew up, she fell in love, she married my dad. I'm her firstborn, followed by my sister Corey, and my brothers Paul, Greg, and Tommy. And all of our lives depended on her first parents' choice for adoption. Jill was adopted as an infant, and she grew up and married one of my brothers. And Aiden, Cecilia, Sky, Evan, Grace, Maggie, Molly, Lewis, and Sam are my nieces and nephews, not all from Jill. But point being that none of them would exist if it had not been for 2 other women choosing adoption. Chris is my uncle. He was adopted as a toddler, and he helped my husband and I when we decided to adopt ourselves. So as I said, I've never been in the position of having to make that decision myself, but I'm an adoptive mom. And my uncle Chris helped my husband and I to adopt Leo and Zaylee, who are my precious son and precious daughter, and whose lives I can't imagine the world without. All of that, 18 people, I guess I'll add myself to the list, me too, be my mom's daughter, who wouldn't be here without those 5 women choosing adoption. I want to just be really clear about adoption. I'm a teacher. I've had dozens of students who are adopted. I've learned from the members of my own family who are adopted as an adoptive mom that adoption is not easy. It's not a perfect solution. It's not, just sparkles and rainbows, but that it's hard. And that by definition, it's happening because something difficult and unplanned has come up, and maybe even something traumatic. But adoption is a real choice, and it's connected to real people and to real lives. And those 18 lives, I don't know that the 5 women who made those choices for adoption would have ever imagined how much it would ripple outward. But when I think of everyone I love most in the world, and I'll throw my dad and my husband in there too, I didn't mention them, but love them too. Everyone I love most in the world, truly, my family, my whole family exists because of adoption, upwards and downwards in our family tree. And that's just so far. So who knows where that ripple effect will go, but adoption is a real choice, and it's a choice that I know is often made with pain and sometimes with ambivalence. And we need to learn and we need to listen to those who have been in that position. But adoption is a choice that can add love to the world. Adoption is a choice that might be hard, but it's one that adds life and that it keeps going. And I think my family is a just living example of that. So thank you for letting me share that, and what a happy day.
Okay, thank you, members of the press. At this time, myself, Angie Thomas, and Benjamin Clapper can take questions, and anyone else on our staff. So if there are any, I think in person, I think we'll do those first. If there are any in-person questions, and then I believe on Zoom, there's a way to ask questions in the chat box. Absolutely. Our next step is to focus on providing women with the resources that we just talked about, gearing them toward the pregnancy centers in the state of Louisiana. Unfortunately, we still have abortion culture in Louisiana, and our goal is to change abortion culture by changing hearts and minds on the issue of abortion, providing them with, as Ashley mentioned, young people with the barbaric nature of abortion, providing them with resources to help domestic violence victims, victims of sexual assault, victims of rape, women who are in crisis pregnancies. I think this is our golden opportunity to address maternal health care in a way we've never have before, because our culture has focused so much on reproductive choice, money and funding and hours and time, and resources have gone into that. But now we, as we have been doing already for decades, can focus on those things for women, and that is what our goal is. There's some pregnancy centers in the state. There's St. Elizabeth Foundation. There's Catholic Charities. A Catholic Charities representative is here today. They can talk with them. Also, they can visit our website, adifficultchoice.com, postrowla.com as well for resources in real time. That's a question we often get. that there are concerns about that. But again, I think once again, it's our time to reframe this conversation and say, why are we talking about the worst case scenario for a woman, right, in a crisis pregnancy? Instead, we should be focused on what resources can we provide her right now before she's ever in that position. And of course, in Louisiana, I'm sure you might be aware, we just passed Senate Bill 388, which bans mail order abortions in the state of Louisiana. We do not. We believe that women who are raped and are victims of violent crimes, that the perpetrator of those crimes should be punished to the fullest extent of the law without any exceptions, right? But that the victim in that situation is that woman, and abortion would only traumatize that woman further, as well as killing the life of her unborn child. No matter how a child is conceived, they are worthy of dignity and protection. Are there any questions from in-person media? Any questions on Zoom? Okay, everyone, thank you so much for your time. And it's going to be available throughout the day to answer questions if you want to talk with myself, Benjamin Clapper, Alex Sagers, Ashley Gilliam, many of our team, Angie Thomas. Please reach out to us, and thank you. This is such a historic day, a day I know many of us have been waiting for, and please continue to follow our work as we will continue helping women in Louisiana. Thank you so much.